Welcome back to the channel. Now we are going to see regarding the concept of LALR parsing mechanism. So this LALR parsing mechanism also comes under the bottom-up approach mechanism. So in a bottom-up approach mechanism, we are having different parsing techniques like SLR parser, CLR parser, and LALR parser, LR parser. So in the previous videos, we already saw SLR, CLR, LR parser. So now let's see LALR parser. So LALR is defined as look ahead, left right parsing technique. Look ahead, left right parsing technique. So here the process is going to perform from left to right. So compared to different processing techniques like SLR, CLR, LALR, the LALR is a more efficient one. The LLR is more efficient one. Later SLR is more efficient. Later CLR is more efficient. Means the working mechanism of LLR will be more good. So the time taken for execution of the task and processing the task, everything will be happen very quickly. So let us how we can conclude the process is happening very quickly means let us see an example so that we can understand why LLR is more efficient compared to SLR and CLR. Okay. So here in the LLR parsing technique, we are going to follow the mechanism of merging concept. Here means whatever the grammars we are generating, like in a form of iterations like I1, I2, I3, I4, so on. So here we are going to perform merging operation for the any iterations, whatever we have having the same values. So before going to the example, let us see the few points what we have to know. So in LR parser is classified into LR parser, SLR parser, CLR parser, and LALR parser. So whatever the grammar given for us for doing LALR parsing technique, the grammar is having a combination of terminals and non-terminals. That is the first point we have to know. Non-terminals means which are the things which are starting with a capital letter are defined as a non-terminals, and terminals are the things which are starting with a small letters or terminals. Not only the small letters, numbers, special symbols, everything. So and here we also have to know regarding the dot operation. So how to perform the dot operation and all these things. So first here input means whatever the grammar given for us will be taken as an input, and based upon the input we are going to perform the dot operation, and we are going to see regarding argument grammar, how argument grammar is defined and how the process is going to happen with the argument grammar. So whatever the grammar given for us in that first input, whatever the first input is there, that first input is considered as an argument grammar. So based on that, we are going to define an argument grammar. So in an example, let us see how we are going to define argument grammar. So actually, this is an example for a grammar whatever we have generated. In a stage 3, we have got some grammar tokens. In stage 17, we have some tokens. So what we are going to do in LALR parsing is in SLR, CLR, whatever we are having, we have remained as it is. But in a concept of LALR parsing technique, we are going to combine these two stages and we are going to define in one place itself. So here we can write stage 317. Why? Because 3 and 17 are merging. So I have defined in one. So if we are merging 3 and 17 as a one grammar, so wherever you want to write a word number called 17, or wherever you want to write number called 3, you should not write number 3 or 17 individually. You have to define 317 like that. So by defining like that, the task is reducing. So by task reducing, we the efficiency also increases, the completion of the time completion of the task also increases. Those are the advantages that we are going to have by this mechanism. So this is what algorithm. So first, whatever the input we are having for us, whatever the input we are passing to compiler, first what it is going to do, the compiler is going to pass our input to the stack. So while our input is moving to the stack, first and foremost thing that we have to check is the stack should be empty, isn't it? The stack should be empty. So here you can see an algorithm first line. So while stack is not empty, so if it is not empty, we have to make it empty. So how we will make it empty means we are going to pop out all the elements whatever present in the stack. So we are going to pop out all the elements which are present in the stack. So after moving all the elements which are present in the stack, next whatever the input we are having with us, we are going to pass our input each and every individual variables. So each and every individual token we are going to pass to the stack. So after passing each and every individual variables, we are going to perform the task. So if after performing each and every individual tokens, so here we have to take care that no repetition of the token should be happen. So after passing each and every tokens, so after completing a complete input, so we are going to push all the elements into the stack. This is how the algorithm is going to work, or our input whatever we are giving is going to work. So what are the general rules that we are going to follow while doing this LLR parsing technique is, first of all, we are having a grammar with I naught, I1, I2, I3 number of sets. So we are going to have, we are going to perform this LR mechanism. That is the first thing. Means the set is holding a same number of elements, multiple elements. We are going to follow this mechanism. So whatever the elements we are passing, so here we are going to replace the same elements with an alternative words. We are going to replace the same elements with an alternative words. And if there are any conflicts between the two elements whatever we are passing, so here the we are going to rectify the conflicts of the variables whatever we are passing. So how we are going to rectify the conflicts is by seeing the common characters which are present in the grammars. We are going to remove the common things which are present in the grammars whatever we are giving. So if we are having a set of elements, and if we are having a union for the set of elements, how we are going to define the union means, for example, I is a grammar. For me, I am having a set of elements like I1 union, I2 union, I3 union, so on, In. So I am going to define as go to I1 comma x, I2 comma x, I3 comma x, I4 comma x, so on. I am going to define x is a variable. So in this manner here we are going to define a set of elements, means where the elements should be equalized. So while doing a LALR parsing technique, first of all we have to know how to process the first and follow of a given input grammars. So to understand the concept of first and follow of the grammars, you can see previous videos. There I have defined how to construct the first and follow of the given grammar. So here let us see one more time regarding how to construct the first and follow. So without knowing how to construct the first and follow of the grammar, we cannot process forward. So here what is the, I already told we have to add the argument grammar. So this S dash tends to S is an argument grammar. Whatever actually they only give the grammars S tends to CC, C tends to CC or D. Based upon the grammars, what is the first statement? S tends to CC. So that is why S. So that is why I have written S dash tends to S. So what is the first of the S means? What is the first element of S? C. So what is the next element of S? I am having D, like that. Where I am going to write first of S and first of C. Next, like that in the follow of S and follow of C. In the follow, whatever you are writing, the first element should start with dollar. That is the rule we have to follow. So in LR parsing, after writing the first and follow elements of a given grammar, the next thing is you have to see, we have to write all the elements in a, and we have to write the dot operation of all the input elements whatever we are having with us. So what is the first input? S dash tends to S, S tends to CC, C tends to CC, C tends to D. So while writing these inputs, we have to take care regarding whatever the characters you are writing is a small letter or capital letter. So if you are in place of small letter, if you are writing capital, or if you are writing vice versa, the complete grammar is going to wrong, isn't it? So that's why have to take care regarding capital letters or small letters. So I naught means I naught whatever the grammar given for me I have written in I naught. Next go to I naught comma s. In I1 what I am go to I naught comma s is equal to I1. I am naming this statement as I1 and I am processing s dash tends to s dot. S dash tends to s dot. Next I go to I naught comma c. Next what is the element I have to move in? Go to I naught comma c is equal to I2. I am naming it as I2. So first line completed. Now what is the point it should move? Second line s tends to dot cc. So it should move to c. That's why s tends to c dot c. S tends to c dot d. Next. Next what is the thing I am having? C tends to cc c by d. This is the input having for me. So that is why I am going to write go to I naught comma c. I am naming it as I2. So I am writing c tends to c dot c. I am writing c by d. So here one thing we have to remember is after dot I am having a non-terminal symbol. Means I am having a capital letter. So if you are having a small letter, no need to worry. But if you are having a capital letter, so what is the thing we have to do is we have to write the complete grammar of that particular statement. So now I have to write all the grammar starting with C. So that's why I have written C tends to CC, C tends to D. So if you have capital letter only, if you are having non-terminal only, you have to take care regarding these things. If you are having terminal, no need to worry. So I am going to name it as I2. So next I3. C tends to D. So C I not comma C. I am going to write I3. So next I4 C tends to D. I have written. So now what are the things completed for me here? I1 is completed, I2 incomplete, I3 incomplete, I4 complete. I1 and I4 are completed. Next, I2 and I3 are incomplete for me. So now I have to focus on the grammars which are present in I2 grammar and I3 grammar. So next, go to I2. So now I'm going to write it as I5. What I'm going to do in I2 the task is incomplete. That is why I'm going to write go to I2 comma C. So you can see here go to I2 comma C and I'm going to name it as I5. So what is the thing I have to write? C tends to CC. You're going to name it dollar. Next, what is the next one you are having? I not completed, I1 completed, I2 completed, I3 is incomplete for me. So now I am going to, so I2 is completed. You here in I5 we have completed, but in I2 we are having another grammars like C tends to CC and C tends to D. So I have to complete those also. So that's why I am going to write go to I2 comma small c. So that is why I write to C tends to CC. So here one problem what we got is again after C I am having a capital C. So that is why I have written all the grammar starting with capital C. So now what is the next grammar in having in I2? Go to small d I am having. Go to I2 comma small d is I7. So that's why C tends to D. Okay. I2 is completed. Now I3. So what are the grammars having in I3 for me? I C tends to C completed. Now I am going to write I2 go to I2 comma C. That is I8. So C tends to CC over. So next go to I3 comma capital C. So I3. Next go to I3 comma D. Next I3 completed. Now what is the incomplete things for me? I0, I1, I2, I3, I4, I5 completed. I6 is incomplete. Why? Because I6 is incomplete because after C here I am having this dot should move to this C. So that is why go to I6 comma C. I'm going to write. So go to I3 comma C. So and I'm going to complete the task. C tends to CC. The I8 is completed. So now C tends to D is already completed in I3. So that's why I have written go to I3 comma C is I3. Go to I3 comma D is completed. I3 comma D where I have completed I3 comma D we can see. So that is why I have given I9 name. So whatever the things which are completed in a previous indexes you can give the names of their indexes here. So that's why go to I3 comma C, I3 comma D, I6 comma C. So I6 comma D means C tends to CC. This C will dot moves to here dollar. So in this manner, whatever the things are incomplete, you have to check the things are incomplete values and you have to move all the grammars. So after moving all the grammars, you have to check whether you have terminals or non-terminals. If we are having terminals, it is fine, no need, no problem. But if you are having non-terminals, you have to write all the grammars which are present with that particular variable. So you can see like in a statement I3 like this. In this I3 statement, in C I am having a capital letter after dot. So I have to write all the grammar starting with the capital letter. So like this, which are the things incomplete, I have to complete the task. So that is why in I3 for me task is incomplete. So I continued my I3 operation in I6 again. I8 again, like that. What are the tasks are incomplete, I should complete in a partition manner, sir. So no need to it is we should not complete all the tasks at the same place. We are going to complete in a step by step manner, in a iterative manner. So after completing this is the same method how we are going to do in SLR CLR parser also. So but in a LLR parser, what is the difference we are going to do means, here we are going to identify what are the grammars having the same values. So what are the grammars you are having the same values, you are going to identify, and you are going to define the same grammar values in a set manner. So after identifying the same grammars, you are going to get like this. So I47, so what is the meaning of that is, the grammar I4 and I7 are same. The grammar I4 and I7 are same. So that's why I have written I47. So in I47, what they have mentioned, C tends to D. So in I4 C tends to D and I7 C tends to D. There is no need to mention two times. So if you mention I47 one time, it is enough. So if wherever you want to represent I4 or wherever you want to represent I7, you no need to write two times I4 and I7. So you wherever you want to represent I4 or wherever you want to represent I7, you have to mention a term called I47. Why? Because after this statement, after this stage of our LLR parser, you have merged I4 and I7 indexes as a same statement. So that's why you have to mention I47. And again I8 and I9 are same, again you have merged I89. Next I3 and I6 are same, again you have merged as a same iterative grammar. So this is how you are going to process the task. So after processing the common state, the last and final step left over for us is, we have to draw parsing table for the LLR parser. So while drawing the parsing table for the LLR parser, if we are aware with the SLR CLR parser table how we are drawing, it is the same manner. You can see this in this figure. The above is a CLR parsing table. For the same example, the below is a LLR parsing table. So here, while writing a index tag numbers 0 to 9, here we are writing 0 1 2. Already I told 3 is merged with 6, that is why I 36 I have written. 4, I should not write 4 individually. Why? Because 4 and 7 are merged, that is why 4 47 5 6 I am not writing again 6. Why? Because above 36 I have written, no need to write 7. Why? Because here I have written 47. 8 9, 8 and 9 are merged as I89. Here you can see, that's why I have written 8 9. So here the set of statements, how many you are representing here, the first achievement is we have reduced the set of statements. So after writing in an action, while drawing a table, you are going to define action part and go to part. In an action part, we are going to have a set of terminals and a set of special symbols and also the dollar symbol. In our grammar, you may have special symbols or you may not have special symbols, but representing the dollar symbol is mandatory. And in a go to part, you are going to write what are the values you are having, you are going to represent in a go to part. And next thing we have to remember is, in an action part we are going to represent S1 S2 S3 S4 like that. But in a go to part, you are going to represent all the things in a numbers like 1 2 3 4 like that. So in I naught, what are the things are happened? I naught to S we have processed. That is why I have written 1 here. And from I naught to C, our grammar has moved. That is why I have written 2 in below C. Next, I not to C, it is moved. That is why S3 I have written. I not to D, it moved. That is why I have written S4. I am not writing S3, S4 individually. Why? Because S3 is linked to S6. That is why I have written S36. S4 is linked to S7. That is why I have written S47. In an I1, we should not write anything. We should write only one thing. In an I1, at the end, we are going to write. We will see in I1 regarding at the end. Next, I2. I have in I2 from A, we have given yes, in an I2, our grammar has moved to C. That is why S36. In an I2, our grammar moved to D. That is why S47. In an from I2, our grammar moved to C. That is why I have written 5. Next, in S36, from I grammar moved to C, grammar moved to D. From 47 means our grammar having three statements. What are the statements? S tends to CC, C tends to CC, C tends to D. S tends to CC is statement number 1, C tends to CC is statement number 2, C tends to D is statement number 3. You are going to numbering as 1 2 3. So in an 47 you have written R3 R3 R3. The meaning is that the third statement came to the end statements, the dot operation was completed. That is why I have written R3 R3 R3. In fifth line the statement R1 came to conclusion, thus that is why I have written R1. In an 8 9 statements the R2 statement came to conclusion, R2 R2 R2. So after writing all the inputs, our grammar input was completed. So no, there is a no, nothing grammars was left over for me. So that is why I have writing in a place of statement number 1 line. I am writing it as accept. So this is how we are going to perform the concept of LALR parsing technique.